13 most powerful vampires of all time that are insanely dangerous. Vampires were never merely about the supernatural, nor were they only meant to suck blood. They have formed a part of pop culture and folklore for decades for an excellent reason. Vampire-trope is exceptionally versatile and so rightfully comes way ahead of all the supernatural trendsetters that are coming up today. Whether it's dark, intense romance, depictions of revenge and redemption, outright horror and gore, or destruction and action, vampires can fuse into any of these requirements, but vampires also come with distinctive characters and personalities. And isn't it a treat to go deeper into their individual stories? Well, this list is all about that, and we are taking up the most powerful and dangerous of them. Careful with the darkness around you.
Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Michael, you're one of us! Let go! Unto what? You are one of us, Michael!
Number 13. David, The Lost Boys. The town of Santa Carla is flooded with vampires. While this vampire's gang official leader loves to stay in hiding, David has taken upon himself to do all the dirty jobs for him. And there's a good reason he's taken over control, because he loves to be in control. Very cunning and manipulative, David is often repulsive and rebellious for his sheer love of authority. But he's not merely a barking dog, he means business. The movie portrays how gradually David gains a far deeper command over the gang than the original leader, Max. With a blonde mullet hairstyle, he looks like a biker hunk dressed entirely in black with a trench coat, gloves, jeans, and boots. Our vampire has blue eyes as well. Is it easy or effortless to fall for him? When he transforms into his vampire avatar, he has more defined facial structures, develops fangs, and his eyes seem to turn golden. That said, David is extremely sadistic, and he moves about the town getting into several situations that artistically depicts his swag. But if you hadn't already guessed, he also deals in a blood frenzy and fights ferociously. You see him losing the fight, but, well, you can't help but see his charm. Number 12. NOMAK, Blade 2. NOMAK belongs to a super breed of vampires called the Reapers. He was created when his creator Damaskinos fused the Reaper strain with NOMAK's blood. As a result of this infusion, NOMAK turns out to be more potent than the usual breed of vampires. Like vampires ought to feed on the human blood, the Reapers must do so more frequently to remain healthy and living. His heart is encased in bone to prevent getting killed if stabbed by enemies. When he hunts and feeds on a victim, it's a gory and horrifying sight to watch. NOMAK's actions were guided by one principle. He was disgusted with the entire vampire fraternity and wanted to wipe them out entirely to create an entirely Reaper community. But it's not just combating capabilities and physical strengths that distinguishes NOMAK. He can also organize the Reapers into a powerful, strategic unit mindfully. His character is the most heartbroken one in the Blade series, as he gets betrayed by his originator. NOMAK is powerful, dangerous, and driven by intent. Put in a vampire character, he emerges as one of the most memorable creations in the horror genre.
Go on, Caleb. Pick our own foot.
Number 11. Jesse, Near Dark. Jesse Hooker is that vampire who shows off by regurgitating a bullet after being shot. Formerly a fighter in the Civil War, he maintains the same casualty and confidence as a vampire, and he is the leader of his fearsome clan for this reason. He need not put any extra effort to display his monstrosity or potential. It just reflects off him. In the movie, Jesse's character uses staying back and not revealing himself fully, allowing the psychotic vampire Severin to dominate. And yet, throughout the movie, you can't help but notice the strained absence of Jesse. He's that powerful. His signatory look is in a ragged long jacket, a tarred face, and a piece of cloth layering his head. He has weapons tucked right in front of his trousers too. And if you haven't already seen, Jesse looks nothing but horrifying and scary. A strange solemnity never seems to leave his face. Played by Lance Henriksen, Jesse Hooker is believed to be in love with Diamondback, who is killed along with him in a car explosion. but for sure, he is a character not to be messed with.
Rayne, take my sword!
Number 10. RAYNE. BLOODRAYNE. The half-human, half-vampire character of RAYNE belongs to the popular video game series BLOODRAYNE. Being a Vampire, she possesses certain unique powers like being immune to moving around in broad sunlight and holding cross symbols. Apart from these, she can also heal herself like other vampires, and is incredibly agile with her physical body combative skills. And if you were looking for the D word, yes, she is dangerous. But RAYNE has a similarity with the horrific NOMAK we just saw. RAYNE also hates vampires and intends to kill her father. On her way of doing that, she preys on several other vampires whom she is delighted to eliminate. As an agent of the Brimstone Society, she also gets to meet other supernatural creatures. But guess what? RAYNE hates them as well and continues her plunder and bloody rampage with them as well. If it's not well established yet, more than anything, RAYNE is a brutal, heartless killing machine.
That's what I thought. Oh, God.
God is a vampire.
Number 9. Eric Northam, True Blood. Eric belongs to the vampire-based 13-book series written by best-selling author Charlaine Harris. He eventually becomes a popular character from the dark genre, and we want to say very deservedly so. Eric is not like the other blood-sucking vampires who need to find their prey. He's a vampire sheriff and an entrepreneur running a bar named Fangtasia. His lengthened life cycle makes him a very experienced, resourceful, and manipulative person. But let not all this convince you that he is unlike others when it comes to brutality. It is immensely risky to have enmity with him. Heartless and brutal, he makes it a point to torment his enemies to death. But there's a pleasant surprise here too. Eric seems to be loving and forgiving for the ones he has chosen to stay loyal with. Now, it isn't enough to make him one of the most eligible bachelors. Well, here's more. He finds little joy in merely indulging in a bloodbath for sport. Our vampire loves to use his brains to plot schemes and situations and then execute them with utmost mindfulness. He's a vampire we can gladly befriend finally. But of course, you should be very careful too. Number 8. Vampirella, comic book character. Vampirella is a famous fictional superheroine created by Forrest J. Ackerman. The popularity of the horror comic series led to several character adaptations, leading to multiple interpretations relating to her origin. However, she was formerly the daughter of Lilith and consequently was born with vampire qualities, including the necessity to feed on blood to survive. She had to come down to Earth from the vampiric realm when she came to know human veins could well be her source of food. But her motive is not to wipe out humans per se, but specifically evil vampires. She can shapeshift into a bat and possesses other superhuman abilities, like blatant agility, immortality, and self-healing. Vampirella is a strong opponent for her enemies, because she has no weaknesses that make her prone to be harmed by other vampires. She has no problem with being under the sunlight, holding a cross, coming in touch with holy water or garlic, or any other conventional game spoilers for vampires. One of the best things about her is she does not seduce people for blood impulsively, except only when she has to. Very sweet, right? Number 7. VIKTOR, Underworld. VIKTOR is the famous antagonist of the Underworld series. He used to be an able Hungarian general, and as he was nearing the end of his life, the first vampire, Marcus Corvinus, comes to him with a luring offer. Marcus would turn VIKTOR into a vampire, in turn offering him immortality and superpowers in exchange for this. VIKTOR's military expertise and experience, along with his army, were to be traded off to fight the werewolves. Thus it begins VIKTOR's elaborate quest for falling for the sweet attraction of power and authority. VIKTOR was a vampire elder, a position that gave him exclusive privileges and powers. He's more able and powerful than his other vampire counterparts and can easily defeat them in combat. During his single-handed fight with a hybrid, Michael, He manages to recover from all the wounds inflicted on him. He indulges in a list of crimes including torture, tyranny, familicide, and enslavement. Undoubtedly, Viktor is one of the deadliest of vampire characters. He was played by the talented Bill Nye, who has proved his mettle in several films. Number 6. Dracula, Castlevania anime series. From the Castlevania series, Dracula is a character adaptation taken from the Bram Stoker's 1987 novel Dracula. Formerly, he used to be a man called Matthias Conquest, who could not handle his wife's death and eventually turned insane. Through the mysterious powers of the Crimson Stone, he was transformed into the ever-powerful and immortal Dracula. He used his exceptional powers to build a fierce army to protect their fortress, Castlevania. One of the prime sources of power that Dracula remained loyal to throughout this is the Crimson Stone he preserves with him until the end. He'd used it to gain the soul of a vampire lord called Walter Bernard. He had complete control over several monsters and demons from the malicious demon realm. During combat, Dracula can spawn fire in multiple forms like flame balls and burning meteors. He also possesses the power to dominate, by which he can absorb the soul of the fiercest monsters and demons and use their powers as his own. Dracula stands as the symbolism of the Helm of Horror. We can't say enough about this one because, well, the name is enough.
You know, in a good way.
The gem.
Oh, yeah. The gem of Amara. Official sponsor of my killing you.
Number 5. Spike, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Let's talk about how an innocent face can become the very essence of fear and horror. Spike has the looks of punk personalities from the 90s. He wears a long leather duster, a remembrance he had kept with him from one of the vampire slayers that he killed. Spike is called the Vampire Slayer because he manages to kill not one but two powerful and dangerous vampire slayers. He has lost his soul, and this only makes him more ruthless and fearsome because he always does what he decides. Later, Spike also falls in love with the Slayer and remains dedicated to win her affection. To do this, he strategically plans a way to get back his soul to be worthy enough for her. Spike is one of the most well-developed vampire characters we know about. The best thing? He has humor. And he has the occasional bouts of wisdom when he sounds oh so desirable. He takes his vampirism as a proud achievement, and we have to say, it does full justice to what he is. Physical strength aside, he has a great character strength, which he efficiently puts to use in all his vampiric endeavors. Also, in case you like sarcasm, Spike can be sarcastic too. You have to admit it, because we can smell some attraction cooking already.
Mama's gone to heaven, Shaggy, like that sweet lady right there. They all go to heaven.
All but us.
Do you want to frighten our little daughter?
Number 4. Lestat de LIONCOURT, Interview with a Vampire. Lestat de LIONCOURT is yet another popular vampire character from the Vampire Chronicles. Here's a 6-feet blonde with a magnetic shine emanating from his face, suggesting the 18th century Paris's aristocrat vampire. One of the prominent highlights is his glass-like fingernails and the complacent look on his face that is strikingly evident. Here is a vampire who became literate in French and English after becoming a vampire and eventually developing a tremendous literary interest. In the previous parts, Lestat was also portrayed as a bisexual who would fall for anyone he felt attracted to. In many ways, Lestat's character rises the scope of the entire vampire trope, depicting the kind of variety and versatility that could be possible. He's exceptionally bold, enthusiastic, and could be very disobedient in certain situations. He also wonders a lot about philosophical concerns about good and evil, life and death, among others. Among the most remarkable powers he possesses are telepathy, mind reading, and instant healing. Lestat's character is undoubtedly one of the most underrated vampire creations. In the film adaptation to the original novel Interview with a Vampire, Lestat's character was portrayed by Tom Cruise. Number 3, Blade, movies, comic book character. Marvel Comics universe presents the Blade as a fictional superhero vampire. He made a debut appearance in the comic The Tomb of Dracula, created by writer Marv Wolfman and penciler Gene Colan. When Blade's mother was undergoing her labor pain, the vampire Deacon Frost attacked and killed her. Raised by relatives, Blade grew up with one conviction: to become a vampire hunter. He joined a team led by the mighty vampire hunter Quincy Harker. Despite his lack of superpowers, he painstakingly trains to develop his abilities and skills to be enough to fight vampires. Eventually, though, Blade becomes a Dhampir, showcasing added abilities in strength and combat. A no-nonsense character, Blade only grows more fanatical in his conviction to eliminate the vampires from the world. As a hybrid, Blade has to take care of one weakness that can render him weak and spoil his mission. He needs a fresh blood supply, but later discovers that a particular serum could work as a better alternative to ingesting blood. A fight without taking this dose could prove fatal, and yet Blade, just as the name goes, is mighty and lethal himself. He excels in driving, communicating, handling weapons, and is a martial arts master. Tough and straightforward, Blade can be the perfect bodyguard you could trust your life with. Number 2. Selene, Underworld. Selene is referred to as the Death Dealer, but should not be judged based on that. She makes the whole thing about death and vampires look uber cool. She keeps getting involved in fight after fight and always keeps coming back for more. As if being a vampire is not even a thing. Extremely cold-hearted and seemingly stoic, she strictly means business, and one of them is to hunt down any werewolf she comes across. It follows that she is also very stubborn, not shying away from the task unless it's over. Selene lacks empathy, and especially when it comes to her enemies. She is someone you would not be interested to mess with. But well, everyone ultimately falls for someone. Selene's relationship with Michael is complicated on most levels, and yet you realize that the stone-hearted Selene can also be expressive. She appears visibly tormented when she gets to know that enemies have killed Michael. Then she resolves to unleash her worst on them and avenge his death, ultimately killing one of the enemies by pulling his spine out of his body. Ugh, that isn't reassuring, we know. And we want you to remember this, because after all, you can't take Selene lightly.
One of us.
You'll need more than guns to stop me.
Hurry up and kill him!
Number 1. Alucard, Hellsing. Alucard is a fictional, supernatural character from the Japanese manga and anime created by Kouta Hirano. Alucard has a unique ability, unlike anything else you would have ever heard. He can appear as whatever he wishes to, and the different forms he transforms into might have no meaning at all. After taking the executed soldier's blood, he became a vampire and immediately disowned God, claiming he was betrayed. He has a ruthless way around his enemies, whom he does not kill unless they are completely disabled. He does show affection to those that he cares for, also retaining the ability to shed tears. During a challenging fight with Luke Valentine, he is almost about to lose when he suddenly shapeshifts into a hellhound. Often he allows himself to be blown apart in shreds and then reappearing as himself again. Alucard is threatening, but he is also one of the most versatile and maturely developed characters. A hint about his great brutality can be found in the backstory related to his name when he was raped as a prisoner and child soldier. Ultimately, Alucard develops the ability to exist everywhere and nowhere, transforming into a near godlike figure. He is one such character that has often been explored thoroughly, but it is only due to the depth that he holds. We conclude our list with this omnipotent vampire figure.
And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.